Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hadassah Nicolixon.
And I'm Carla Moye.
And we are members of the PHS Consulting Company. We would like to thank you, the senior managers of Victoria's Secrets, for asking us back to present the ethical aspects and solutions of the problem that we presented to you yesterday. Before we begin, we ask you to pause and to consider a question that we asked ourselves when looking at this problem. Do we, everyday women, look like the models of your company? And the answer that we had was no. And we found that this is the heart of the ethical dilemma that we are going to present on. And so we start out by considering body image. And so think of a woman when she walks into your store and she looks at the models, or maybe she's looking online at your catalogs, and she thinks, do I look like that model? Is my height, my weight, my size, my shape, even my proportions identical to the models represented in your brands? And the answer that she has as well is no. And so this speaks to why there is a lack of respect for all types of beauties, and there's that lack of inclusion in what beauty should mean for all women. An example of this is how you choose to use the word perfect or beautiful or ultimate perfection in your ads, such as in 2011 with the Perfect Body campaign. So when you're using the word perfect and a slogan like, no one's perfect until now, your audience hears that and thinks, I must not be perfect because that's such an unrealistic, unattainable ideal, and so that starts to talk about their self-worth, their self-esteem, and whether they're being respected and represented within your models. This brings us to the more subtle issue of health. And we asked ourselves whether there was a promotion of unhealthy body standards within the models that you're picking. This includes things as very specific height categories and very specific weight categories that you use when casting your models for the fashion show, let's say. And so we think of a young girl watching a fashion show and looking at these models and saying, should I look like that? Should I be that way? What do I have to do to get there? And so issues of being underweight, over-exercising, or even eating disorders, which we know run prevalent in the modeling industry as a whole, can touch on those issues within a young community, or even women in general when looking at these models. And so when speaking of the younger audience, we think of the appeal that your company has chosen to target with the pink divisions. As you know, the pink divisions are targeted to preteens and teenagers and use slogans such as "kiss me" on their undergarments. And so when a young girl walks into the store and she sees this suggestive and provocative clothing, families and parents alike have complained, and there has been backlash towards this type of advertising because it's hypersexualizing your young girls, and it's pushing them to question again the vulnerability of self-esteem and self-worth, and whether their maturing is being respected in this kind of advertising. And so speaking on sexuality and fantasy, we think back to the 80s and 90s when this concept of angel became prevalent in your company. And it worked for decades on, but currently there's been backlash towards that concept because when you think of an angel, you think of a heavenly being, which women as humans are not. And so again, that creates that unrealistic and impossible approach to, I need to look like that, I need to be an angel. And so there is the ethical dilemma in alienating your customers to what you're presenting and what you're telling them that they should be and look like, and to what women realistically and actually are across the world. And even this aspect of what woman is speaks to social movements that have risen up in the last year and 2 years. And my associate Pearl is now going to speak on this.
We believe that the rise and prominence of social movements such as New Wave feminism, female work empowerment, and racial equality have made people and consumers more aware of their position and their portrayals in society. Women no longer want to be objectified. Women no longer want to be hypersexualized or seen as sexual beings merely for the male gaze. They aspire to be more. And the issue of racial equality points to the problem of diversity and inclusion within your brand. There is not enough racial diversity and ethnic diversity as well. Customers feel alienated because they see these models on the runway, in your campaigns, on TV, and they don't see models that look like them. For example, at the recent opening of your store in Shanghai, China, which is also your biggest market, there were no Asian models present. Your customers there felt alienated. You're opening a store here, but yet we don't see people that look like us. Then how do we fit into your brand if you feel that these narrow and often Eurocentric features are the ideal and are what you want to be associated with? Also, you have models of African descent born in countries like Namibia and South Africa, but yet these models carry Eurocentric features. People from these regions do not look like that predominantly, and so they feel disrespected. Am I not beautiful enough? Am I not worthy enough to be associated with your brand and to have someone that looks like me? Or is it just the Eurocentric appeal or the Eurocentric standards that are perfect and are beautiful? Finally, with the issue of diversity, it was only just in 2015 that a model of African descent was allowed to wear hair in natural Afro styles. Normally, and as you well know, your models are required to wear extensions that wear extensions long to continue the standard of long wavy hair that your brand is so predominantly associated with. This leads to an issue of disconnect between you and your consumers. You tell your consumers you're inclusive or respectful, but yet they don't see models that look like them. So then, where is the inclusion and where is the respect? And I'll bring up a sensitive topic of respect of cultures, which is an ethical issue with cultural appropriation. Before I continue this discussion, I'll quickly define what cultural appropriation is. It is the use of a culture's elements such as its clothing, its markings, and its language as well, or images, in an insensitive manner. You don't respect the culture, you don't respect its heritage, and you don't acknowledge its history. On your runway, we have seen models in geisha costumes, Native American headdress, and Polynesian tribal markings. These are not elements to be used as a fashion statement or as insignificant props on your runway to continue to portray your standards. These are significant and sensitive elements of people's cultures that should be respected as such. No runway should have such markings or such garb or such clothing as part of its fashion statement. This is disrespectful and this is alienating your consumers even further. As we wrap up this conversation on diversity and cultural sensitivity, I'll hand over to Hadassah to conclude the presentation.
Thank you, Pearl. So as you know, we mentioned 3 steps in our plan for your solutions: revamp, refocus, and renew. And although we had many solutions, we're going to mention a few that we think will have immediate change within your company and to the consumers that you're approaching. One would be to redefine what sexy means. Instead of focusing on sexuality and objectifying women, change it to female empowerment. Bring in social campaigning where your models can be seen as social and forces, important social forces to be reckoned with, and women equal to men in society. Another aspect of this would be to focus on, as well as female empowerment, to change angels to ambassadors. That would directly show that instead of a fantasy, we're focusing on action, what women can do and want to do in society. And then just a smaller note, which we think is a very obvious change, would be to include more sizes. When a young girl walks into your store, there are only select and very narrow and small sizes offered to her in undergarments and clothing. If you include the average size of women in America up to that size 16 instead of, let's say, a 4, you immediately have products that other people that have been alienated will be able to engage in and buy. As we know, women are a large buying force in America, and we should be including all of them in all sizes. And lastly, with the diversity, we feel that, again, this would be an immediate change. Perhaps have a model who is shorter than 5'7", perhaps a model who is heavier than 130 pounds, perhaps a model a different shape other than long and narrow, and as well, being sensitive to where your models come from, how they're representing it, and just being sensitive to a global approach. We think that all of these solutions speak to respect, inclusion, and being aware of the well-being of your customers. We thank you for this opportunity, and have a good day. Thank you.